Even all the leftists on political compass memes seem to think Kyle acted in self-defense. There's no way we're winning this. What's going to happen in the Kyle Rittenhouse case? Okay, guys, I've said this before. I think I even said this right after Kyle Rittenhouse happened, like the whole thing. There is a decent chance that he walks, okay? Now, I want to be clear about that. Okay? There's a reason why that is. That's because a lot of the specific legal the technicalities which are particular to whether or not you can justify your behavior with a claim of self-defense, they are blind to some of the circumstances that are morally biasing our perspective here. Okay? So is Kyle Rittenhouse a shitter? Yes, that's objective. You can talk to God, I asked him. Is Kyle Rittenhouse a racist? Again, I asked God, and he said yes. Do the specific cases associated with the deaths that took place on that day correspond to what we would legally consider to be self-defense? Well, that really depends. It depends on how good the prosecution and defense can argue their cases. This is one of those circumstances where law and morality do not perfectly overlap with each other. Okay? I've talked about this before at the beginning of stream, and I'll talk about it again now. Let's talk about something that is morally wrong, but legally defensible. Okay? Now, if a person breaks into your home in America, you pretty much have the right to kill them. That's pretty much what we've got here. And there's a good reason for that. Imagine being in your home and you hear a window break and feet scuffling on the ground somewhere downstairs. This is not a situation where most people have either the training or the wherewithal to assess the threat being done to your home. What if you have family? What if you sleep on the second floor and on the first floor you know your daughter is sleeping and the window break happened on the first floor? No jury would criticize you for bringing your gun with you as you headed down the stairs. That's just how it is here. And I think that's defensible. Now, the specifics of this is not legal advice, so don't go ahead shooting everyone who knocks on your door. I'm just saying that there are good excuses for self-defense in those cases. There's a reason civilized countries don't let you murder people. Well, in this case, it wouldn't be murder. If it's self-defense, it's not murder, it's self-defense. And I think that's justifiable. Now, it is true that on average, having a gun in your home increases the likelihood of your family getting hurt. But principally, I think that you have a legal right to use lethal force to defend yourself against people breaking in. If somebody breaks in at night, lo and dare, we're not talking about trespassing. We're talking about breaking and entering. We're not talking about people on your lawn. We're talking about people breaking into your home. If somebody breaks into your home, how can you determine if they pose a lethal threat to you? You can't. Like, how? How would you determine that? Fire a warning shot? Warning shots are not a real thing. Ask them? Ask them. Oh no. You know, I actually had a law adjacent class once where I actually gave the answer people in chat gave, and I got chewed out for it by the professor. It's actually, this actually happened to me live. When I was in community college, I was talking about stuff like this with, initially my major was political science, and there was some class that taught some law stuff, and we were talking about this specific thing, the right to self-defense if your house is broken into. And I said, well, you shouldn't be able to use lethal force. You can use warning shots or you can try to shoot them in the leg or something, but I don't think you should be able to kill them. And I got chewed out for several minutes for being wrong. And since then, I have stopped being wrong. I'm sorry, guys, but unless you've experienced this yourself, or I guess know how it would work in real life, or just kind of have a feeling for precedent, if a person breaks into your house and they have a gun, by the time you ask them, they could have already shot you. The thing is, in the United States, we have kind of a mutual threat obligation when it comes to breaking into a person's house. See, everyone knows that you can be shot for breaking into a house. So if a person breaks into your house, they know they're risking their life to do it. And if they're risking their life to do it, that probably means they're willing to fight to defend themselves too. Right? That makes sense. What idiot would break into a house in the middle of the night without some sort of ability, some tool, some weapon? to kill people who might kill them. This is just the mutual expectation we hold. And I think it's perfectly okay. Your house should be considered safe. Your house should be something that you have an expectation people will not intrude upon. Um, so legally, if a person breaks in and you shoot them, it's going to be ruled self-defense, I imagine. Uh, assuming the factors of the case are consistent and reasonable. But morally, there's a lot of ambiguity there. Morally, it's possible for you to shoot and kill somebody in self-defense if they've broken into your house, even after you've assessed they have no weapon. It's possible for you to kill a person you know is unarmed, which I would say is morally dicey at best, if they've broken into your house even. But legally, it'd still be considered self-defense. So you can believe two things simultaneously without any contradictions. Kyle Rittenhouse might get off, but I still think what he did was wrong. And the thing that I think that he did was wrong has more to do with going to a civil rights protest with a weapon to intimidate and to posture and to antagonize, to put himself and other people in a situation which exacerbates the threat level and increases the likelihood of harm. That's what I think was wrong. And depending on the facts of the case, which are not fully known to us, at least I haven't been watching the proceedings, according to the facts of the case, it may well be the case that in spite of all that, his exercise of self-defense was legitimate. It may be the case that it wasn't, that he wants it to be self-defense, but it wasn't. These are the ambiguities that have kept me from making strong cases on the legal situation with regards to Kyle Rittenhouse. Yes, Dave Rubin, or Rave Dubin, that is a crime. I'm not arguing against that. No, yes, the crossing state lines with the gun thing, that I'm not arguing against that. We're talking about the self-defense argument. Stand your ground laws are super fucked up. I'm talking about castle doctrine laws, not stand your ground laws. But yes, stand your ground laws do seem to significantly increase the number of people who die in the states that have them. There are state by state variances on the castle doctrine. So again, nothing that I've said here is legal advice. I'm only saying what is generally considered to be the law. Yeah. Castle doctrine is also fucked. Well, it's not perfect, but a castle doctrine is a legal doctrine that designates a person's abode or any legally occupied place, for example, a vehicle or home, you can sleep in your car, as a place in which that person has protections and immunities permitting one in certain circumstances to use up to deadly force to defend yourself against an intruder, free from legal prosecution for the consequences of the force used. The term is most commonly used in the United States, though many other countries invoke comparable principles in their laws. Depending on the location, a person may have a duty to retreat to avoid violence if one can reasonably do so. Castle doctrines lessen the duty to retreat when an individual is assaulted within your own home. Deadly force may either be justified, the burdens of production and proof for charges impeded, or an affirmative defense against criminal homicide applicable when, in cases, the actor reasonably fears imminent peril of death or serious bodily harm to him or herself or another. So if a person breaks into your house in the middle of the night, that is pretty much automatically an actor reasonably fearing imminent peril of death or serious bodily harm to him, herself, or another. That would be pretty automatically that, you know. But again, I'm not a lawyer. Do you support business owners killing rioters trying to destroy or damage his businesses? While there are cases where I think you could possibly make an argument for that, I don't think they're even remotely the same thing. You're in your house because it's your house. You live there. You're in your house. When you defend it, it's because they're coming into your house. It's your house. A business is not your house. But if you sleep in your business, or if you're in that place and you don't really have the ability to meaningfully retreat, then you could argue that your duty to retreat is being impeded by the circumstances of the case. But there is a fundamentally different thing here. All right, hold on. Once again, I'm not a lawyer. Let's just move on with the donos, okay? The only point that I'm making is that it's possible to acknowledge are non-binary people above the law? Yes. Non-binary people are legally immune to all forms of prosecution.